Welcome back to the AC Pulse, the show where we expose the systems so we can build better ones. I'm your host, Amanda Corrales, artist, real estate agent, community builder, and your favorite pain in the nonprofit industrial complexes side. It has been a hot minute since we dropped a new episode. And honestly, when you're juggling multiple legal battles in real life and real courtrooms, recording and mostly everything else takes a back seat. But don't worry, that silence was intentional because what's to come in future episodes, we're diving headfirst into lawsuits, funder gaslighting, and all the nonprofit spin that artists are supposed to stay quiet about. So today, we're starting with something personal. This is about what happens when you submit an idea, or what they like to call a proposal, and an institution takes it like it was always theirs. Sometimes when you walk into a space, you don't see the politics, but you feel them. You feel the hierarchy, the favoritism, the silent contracts, all the things never said out loud, but enforced all the same. When I reached out to RedLine, I wasn't applying for a job. I wasn't asking for a grant. I was asking to rent the space to run my own community event. I submitted a full proposal, a TED-style speaker series called Artist Through the Prism, designed to spotlight artists sharing their real stories, their creative journeys, financial hurdles, and personal growth. I described the concept in detail, gave them the language, the title, the structure, and I trusted that one of the biggest artist hubs would keep that information where I left it as part of a rental inquiry. But months later, RedLine launched a new version of an old program, a TED-style series with eerily similar wording and absolutely no credit. From the outside, RedLine looks like community. The building gleams. Their website speaks the language of equity. Funders love the narrative. They host summits with themes like stories underscored. They invite BIPOC artists to submit ideas through open calls, but somehow some of those ideas get filtered into house-curated content without ever hiring or crediting the source. They didn't just get inspired. They used the very words from my rental submission, not coincidentally, strategically. And here's the thing that still gets me. They could have partnered with a sister nonprofit with me, the creator, the idea maker. They could have reached out, open space in their programming, invited me to co-lead, or even just acknowledged the contribution. Anything, anything that resembled what they say they are: community, leadership, or even basic integrity. But instead, they chose silence. They chose exclusion. And they moved forward with my idea, with their name on it, and absolutely no credit. Are you an underpaid, over-inspired artist with an idea too good to protect? Introducing IdeaVac, the nonprofit-backed vacuum for your creativity. Just upload your vision to any public-facing form, grant portal, or rental inquiry, and watch your concept magically reappear with a new logo, a new hashtag, and absolutely zero mention of you. Side effects include loss of credit, sudden ghosting, gaslighting, and grant-meeting, and being labeled aligned with the culture. IdeaVac, trademark, because what's yours is theirs. Now let's get back to the show. My proposal, Artist Through the Prism, was about giving artists space to tell their truth, to share their hustle, their healing, their growth. RedLine didn't just run something similar. They didn't even bother to pretend it was new. Instead, they quietly folded my concept into an old program, repurposed the format, and rebranded the language under a familiar umbrella. That format wasn't part of their public call when I submitted, but suddenly it fit just in time, as if my idea had always belonged to them. This is how institutions protect themselves. They retrofit, reframe, and retroactively absorb. That way, when they're questioned, they can say, "Oh no, this wasn't stolen. It's part of our long-standing programming." We'll get to that later in the season, when the legal threats start flying and the PR language gets copied and pasted. We talk about equity. We talk about inclusion. But how can you claim either when you're building your programming off of someone else's unpaid, uncredited work? Sound familiar? Colonization? What happened to me is not rare. It's routine. The nonprofit industrial complex has perfected this. Invite the idea, exclude the creator. This is how trust breaks. This is how community becomes a performance. And this is how artists get erased, while the institutions profit. But I'm not disappearing. I'm documenting. I'm naming. I'm building alternatives where artists don't have to beg for scraps of recognition. If this episode hit home, Send it to someone who needs to hear this. Ay, share it with a fellow artist. Who cares? A funder. Or that one person still romanticizing community led institutions. And if you've ever had your work lifted, reworded, and repackaged like it was never yours to begin with, you're not crazy and you're not alone. Tag us, hashtag the AC Pulse. Also, use the hashtag submission does not equal consent. And let's call this theft for what it is. No more whisper networks, no more silence. And if you've got something to say, or you're ready to share your own story on this platform, drop a comment or email us at amanda@ajcorrales.com. We're listening, we're archiving, we're documenting, and we're building something better. Subscribe, rate, and review because every download is a receipt. Next episode, we zoom out. How nonprofit institutions extract brilliance from artists under the guise of collaboration and then repackage it as their own innovation. This is the AC Pulse, where we expose the systems so we can build better ones.